Hey, g'day, and welcome to episode 36 of the Cigar Box Guitar Builder podcast. Here I am in my shop, and I had an interview planned, and it hasn't quite worked out that it's going to happen today. And that's perfectly cool, that's perfectly alright, because things like that happen, and sometimes the interviews don't actually pan out, and that's still okay. So you can hear me pottering around here at the moment. There we are, that might work a little bit better. And this week I was inspired. What was I inspired about? I was inspired by a couple of things that have happened. The first thing I suppose that's inspired me is we're talking piezo pickups. Piezo. The joke continues. How do we actually say that word? I don't care. I think I say piezo. And if you remember back, or you're familiar with the Cigar Box Guitar Builder podcast's earlier episodes, you will be relatively familiar with an episode that I did about the different pickups that I use and how I install them and whatnot. It's an excellent episode. You should go back and have a listen to it. Ha ha ha. And but I've been on a journey of discovery. Now I'm literally in my shop at the moment working on a guitar. I'm on a journey of discovery at the moment with Cigar Box guitars, which I hope never to stop being on. The idea is that I will continue this journey forever. Or at least until I don't want to do it anymore. But, which I'm hoping is not going to be anytime soon. But I've been searching for that elusive tone. I've been searching for that thing called tone. What is it? And I don't know what it is. Well, I suppose I do know what tone is. It's that sound that gets you. And something to remember is that the sound that gets me isn't necessarily the sound that's going to get you. In my very, very, very humble opinion, tone is completely relative to the listener. And that is my very unbiased, humble opinion. So with that in mind, I have decided to conduct an experiment which may or may not work. I'm going to introduce, not a caveat, but I'm going to... One of the problems with this experiment may be that I don't actually 100% know how to carry it off. The intention is there, However, the idea, I think, is good, but the theory may be lacking. So it's all got to do with electrical components. And I was having a chat to a mate of mine, Tim Mason from Oak Amplifications here in the Blue Mountains. Tim's one of those amp type geniuses, one of those people who just, like, he really knows his shit. You know what I mean? Like, he really, really knows what he's talking about when it comes to amplifiers. I mean, well, let's be honest. If you don't know what you're talking about with amplifiers and you're working on them, you're going to die. You know? I think it's as simple as that. Okay? Not knowing what you're doing and amplifiers equals short life expectancy. So, you know, I hold a great deal of respect for anybody who works with amplifiers, because they scare the shit out of me. You know, so anyway, I had a chat with Tim. Tim said theoretically it should work. Having said that, I think he may have been being polite with me, but I'm not talking about using amplifiers. I'm actually talking about the placement of piezo pickups in a cigar box guitar. Alright, so here's the way the experiment's going to work. I'm going to place 4 pickups, 4 piezo pickups. Now, all the pickups are the same. I apologise for my dog. Someone's let the dog out, and let's be honest, it's a rainy day. It's alright, Prince. And he's got his ball, and he wants me to kick his ball. So it's for those of you who complain about Prince the dog, this is about the only time I get to spend with Prince during the week. So you're going to have to put up with me and the dog. So, you know, I hope you don't mind. I don't mean to sound callous and cruel, but he's my dog. I love my dog, you know. Where are you, buddy? Where is it? There it is. All right, I've got his ball. There you go. Go and get it. Anyway, I digress. I'm going to place, and I'm not even going to build a proper cigar box guitar. What I'm actually going to do is build a neck, something I can use again later. The idea is that I'll build a neck, and I'm going to attach it to, I'll attach it to a top. Well, actually, I probably will do the whole. I'll attach to the top back, the lid back to the box. Now, the question is going to be: will I use the bottom of the box as the resonating, or as the soundboard, not the resonating, as the soundboard, or will I use the top of the box as the soundboard? Now, I prefer to use the bottom of the box for the soundboard, and the reason for that is that I just think it's a better material. I think a lot of the lids tend to be MDF, which I'm not being a tone snob, but I've been a tone snob with cigar box guitars. No, I'm not drunk, I promise you. No, it's I think Stradivarius must be rolling over in his grave hearing me saying that. I think even as cigar box guitar builders, and I say this with the greatest deal of respect to us, we want a good tone. Like, don't you? I mean, we do want our cigar box guitars to actually sound good. So, that's what this experiment's going to be about. We want our cigar box guitars to sound good. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place 4 piezo pickups in various locations on the surface of the guitar. The first thing I'm going to do is place one pickup in my favourite spot, which is directly underneath the bridge, sandwiched in between the neck and the soundboard, beneath the bridge. Okay. That'll be fine. I'll have to fiddle around with that. Then I'm going to place another pickup on the bottom of the neck underneath the bridge. The next pickup I'm going to place will be on the actual soundboard itself. So it'll actually sit, one will sit on the soundboard itself, not attached to the neck at all, on the treble side. And then the 4th piezo pickup will be placed on the soundboard itself, not attached to the neck, on the bass side. Okay, now here's the first thing. All of the piezo pickups will be 20mm pickups. I'm just going to measure that. 25, sorry. 27 millimeter disc pickups. They will be super glued directly to the box. Okay, so that's the first thing. All of them will be super glued to the box, so there'll be no difference. They'll all be the same pickup. They'll all be super glued to the same to the box in the same way. So I won't be using any hot glue. Well, people who know me know I've stopped using hot glue because I'm really happy with the tone that I've got at the moment. So I will be using super glue only. The second thing is that I will be attaching all of the pickups to their own dedicated volume control. All of the volume controls have been provided by Market MRWS. Well, I bought them. So they're all the same brand, is what I'm saying. So they're all the same. They're all the same brand of potentiometer. They are the budget brand of pot. None of them will have be attached directly to a tone control. Oh, well, that's not necessarily true. I'll tell you why in a second. Hang on. So we're going to have 4 piezo pickups, 4 volume controls on the soundboard. I suppose which in itself, I'm wondering if that is going to affect the tone of one of the tone or the output or the sound, I suppose, of the lid mounted pickups. Okay, to get around that, what I will do will be I will place the volumes on the side of the box facing the player. Right. So that's the plan, man. Now it's going to be a very rudimentary build. It's not designed for sale. So it's going to be very, very simple. And all of the volume controls will all be wired directly to the output jack. Okay. Now the output jack is going to have, I think because it's a piezo pickup, I'm going to use a 0.22 or 0.022 capacitor, and I'm going to bridge the output and the live of the output jack. So they'll all be going through the one output jack, in other words. Okay. This is where my lack of theory could potentially interfere with the outcome of this experiment. Now, okay, in my head, I have visions of tech-savvy builders, i.e. people like Bill Yaley, even Tim, who I kind of passed the idea past. Tim kind of went, you can give it a go. I'm questioning whether or not Tim is getting me to learn via my mistakes, which I'm very big on. Tim did give me some ideas of how to, I think, manage the output signals. So if it doesn't work, I'll catch up with Tim and go through it again. But at this point in time, on Saturday afternoon, 5 o'clock, I'm not ready to go with it. But the soldering iron is warming up, and I'm going to draw it up and have it set up so that theoretically I will be able to do it. And the idea will be what sounds better. And it is going to be completely unfair, because ultimately my ear is going to pick things up and I'm going to like things. Well, bring it here. I'm not going out to get it. What? Yes, your ball. It's there. Is there a spider? Did Timmy fall in the well again? Who? Anyway, all right. So let me wire it all up and we'll see what happens. All right, so here's where we're up to at the moment with the experiment. What I've actually done is I've used a Romeo and Juliet cigar box. I have used a shorter piece of Tasmanian oak. I have got a 24-inch 24-inch scale length. I am using... What am I using? I am using some very, very inexpensive... actually, I think these are actually ukulele tuners, but they're geared. So they're the very short pole ones, which will do the job. The Tassie Oak's nice and strong, so that should transfer the sound up the neck quite well. I'm just screwing in the machine heads at the moment on the back. What else have we got? I'll be using what do we got? I'll be using some rivets just to anchor the strings behind the bridge. I have a bone nut, and I will have a rosewood. I'll actually have I'll probably have a rosewood or a piece of padauk for the bridge. So all right, so the next step for me will be to drill in the 4 holes in the side of the top of the box to accept the volume controls and the pots, and then drill in an output jack, and hopefully we should be ready to go. I'll try and get all of that done this evening, and then tomorrow morning we'll do the podcast results. I suppose I'll podcast the results, and I've got some pictures. I'll put some pictures up on YouTube. Not YouTube. I'll put some pictures up on Facebook, and we'll see how we go. Okay, so they only work when they're all turned on. All right, so yeah, I had a feeling something was going to happen. Okay, so it seems to be that the pickups they all work, but they've all got to be on to work. So I think that's obviously going to mix the signals. So I'll wire them up independently to 4 output jacks. Just make sure I use the same ones. That's what I'll do. Okay, round 2. All right, we're back. So I've got 2 things going at the moment. I've got the video going just here, which we'll put up on YouTube and on Facebook, and we've got the phone going to take the audio for the podcast. All right, so here we go. Yeah, last night we had some problems, and I was kind of assuming that we were going to have some problems with the electricals, and that's my learning curve. One of the things that I love about doing this is the fact that I'm learning something new all the time. I've done piezo powered cigar box guitars before, where I've used 2 piezos, which have gone into 1 volume control and then straight into the output jack, and I haven't had to worry about having changes of signal. For example, I haven't had 1 piezo going into one pot and the other piezo going into the other pot, which in effect is what happened last night with this experiment. I'm putting this on video as well because it's kind of difficult to explain. Now I'm going to flip that around so that everyone can kind of see the video, and I'm going to try and explain it as well as I can. So you can see in here, inside the box, I've got 4 piezo pickups placed. Now I'm showing the underside of the box to the camera at the moment. I've got a treble side lid mounted piezo. I've got an under the stick and under the bridge piezo. Okay, so it's directly underneath the bridge, but it's also underneath the stick. I've seen quite a few builders doing that. Daddy Mojo, I've seen Daddy Mojo do that. I think off the top of my head from videos that I've seen, I've seen a few people do that, and I've done it myself, and it works quite well. On the top, there's a base mounted lid piezo as well. So, and as you can see, I'm just going to show. This is great radio, but you can actually see what I've got here. I've used the bottom of the box, the bottom of a Romeo Julieta cigar box. I've used the bottom as the soundboard. Okay, now I'll flip it again. So you can see here on the top, I've got I've got it labelled, which I'm facing the video to me, so it's all backwards to you, so I apologise for that. This one is going to be for the directly under the bridge. So that's I've sandwiched it basically underneath the bridge and between the neck. There's the cable coming out just under there, so you can see that there. Okay. Yeah, so I haven't tested this. All right, I did it last night, obviously, where I had all of the pots going into the one output jack, which was actually at the top here. And the problem was that initially I had all of the volumes turned off, and I turned one volume up, and when I did that, nothing happened. And again, this is my learning curve. This is me learning about stuff, live on TV. Like I'm no expert, but for me, this is all heaps of fun, kind of experimenting and practicing and seeing what works and what doesn't work. And that didn't work. And the reason it didn't work was, for some reason, I'm trying to figure out the physical aspect of it, because I'm not an electrician, and I don't build amplifiers. I'm just a hobby noisemaker, So what had actually happened was that I had all of the volume, the hot coming out from the volumes into the hot of the output jack, which was the top one here, and then of course the ground going to the ground jack. And the problem was that when I tried turning one volume up, it didn't work, and I was thinking, what's going on there? And then I turned another, and when I turned all of them on, then it worked. So somehow each one has a reaction on the other one. Now, I didn't want to put a switch in to the guitar, because firstly I don't have a 4-way switch, and I didn't want to do a 2-way switch and a 2-way switch and then have those going into another switch, and that probably wouldn't have worked either. So the easiest thing I figured out to do was give them all their own output jack. Now, all of the brands are the same, so I'm using the same brand of volume potentiometer. I'm using the same brand of output jack, these are budget. Everything's budget, okay? So I'm mixing between stuff that I've ordered from Mark at MRWS and some stuff that I got off eBay. The capacitors are 0.22 capacitors that I bought from MRWS. The piezo pickups are 27mm eBay specials. Tassie Oak for the neck. Romeo Juliet box. I've got a lovely piece of Paduke for the bridge. A bone nut. So, a bone nut. And I've just got some ukulele, just some really, really cheap ukulele machine heads, actually, that I got from MGB, from Michael Breedlove, when I ordered some pickups. Because I'm in Australia, he just chucked in, he's got a whole heap of bits and pieces and just filled out the packages for me, so big thank you to him. And I'm using those for this experiment. And I will, when I do the experiment, I'll close up the box. So the idea will be that we'll just be hearing, or I suppose we'll be hearing the piezo in a guitar that is set up to work, and I don't know if it's going to work. I haven't tested it. I suppose I'm being very brave. All right, let's close this puppy up. Now, if it doesn't work, I'll turn it off and I'll give it another try. So, for those people listening on the podcast, here we go. We're just closing. I've got 3 screws on the box. Just closing it up. It should. Okay. This is there's no sound hole. I suppose I could do some sound holes, couldn't I? I suppose if I'm going to do it, because I do put sound holes in, I suppose I should. I hope I haven't got anything electrical. There we go. Alright, so that makes it, I suppose, a fair test, because that's, if I'm doing one of these types of guitars, I'll usually have sound holes. So I don't know if that would affect. I got sawdust in there now. All right, so that's that. I will use a guitar pick. Now, up here, I've got my handy cube. Just going to move this here. Just drop my pick. Feel like a rock star now. Just drop my pick. There we go. Got another one. All right, and we've got a cube. I'm not going to have it blastingly loud. I figure for test purposes, I should play it clean. So we'll put it on black panel. I should probably run it completely dry. I suppose. So gain off, volume halfway. I'll put the tone at 9 o'clock, and the master volume I'll put at about 9 o'clock as well. So we'll see how we go. Okay. Now we'll see if it works. Now I'm turning up the bridge pickup. Okay, and I've done something to it. I hadn't plugged it in. Okay, this is going well. This is going really well. Here we go. All right, so they're the 4 output jacks on the back. All right, so the idea is I've got its own output jack. I'm just going to plug from output jack to output jack and see which tone I prefer and see which tone you guys prefer. So here's the top. Now this is the bridge pickup. Alright, bridge pickup's not working, so I've done something dodgy there. This is now the underneck. I'm assuming that, unless it's my cable that's gone dodgy. What have we got here? What's going on? We better test it. Why don't we test the amplifier? Yeah, amplifier's working. Now that's alright, well that's the base one, so I've done something funny. I've used white cables only on the inside, so I'm curious as to whether I've accidentally gone from live to earth and earth to live. So I'll let me double check that. Alright, let me sort that out and I'll get back to you. Alright, we're back. There actually wasn't anything wrong. I just got confused between with 4 output jacks and 4 volumes. I got a bit confused about where I was. The only excuse I've got is that I've got these new glasses and I'm going from single focus glasses because I'm an old fart now. I'm going from single focus glasses to multifocal. So I've got to get used to them, and it is just driving me to distraction. It's the main reason I got them was because of what I'm doing right now, which is like doing all of this, like kind of super fine, like this work where, like with electronics and stuff like that. I've got to really focus on fine details, or like soldering or millimeters or just measuring stuff, you know. So that's the back on the box. All right, so I've got all of the volumes. The volumes are all up on the guitar now, and where it's important now is not to worry about the volume controls, because I suppose theoretically, now having done this, I didn't need to. I could have just simply run my piezo directly from the PCO straight into the output jack. And that probably would have been a hell of a lot easier, but I was planning on kind of fading in and fading out and fading one in, fading out, not just ripping the jack out and sticking it into another one. All right, so okay, so this is going to be the box top treble. So this pickup here on the lid. Yeah, alright, so here we go. Okay, so this is just strumming. Obviously more attack with the pick. Put a little bit of slide. I'll do some bad slide playing. I don't have any markings on the neck. Okay, now I do have the little capacitors on. Now this is going to be the box top. Alright, so that's almost the same thing that I played before. So we could probably agree between those two. The first one being the treble mounted. Now I'm going to pull that out, put it in the bass. Alright, so there's a tonal difference there. Alright, so we do definitely have a tonal difference. It's certainly picking up the bass strings. In this case, more so than picking up the treble strings. So there is a definite difference in the tone output. I'm hoping that the speaker or the amplifier is not distorting. So and with the slide, I'm just using a cheap eBay slide at the moment. Go back to that again so you can hear it. Alright, so you definitely with the steel slide, we're definitely kind of getting that slightly abrasive kind of sound. It's steel on steel. Alright, so let's go now to the under the neck pickup. Now theoretically it should because I've centered it. So the idea would be that I would suppose maybe it'll pick up the center string stronger than the two outside strings possibly. But let's see how we go. All right. Back to the bass side, the top soundboard bass side. Alright, let's go straight to the treble side. Alright, so definite. Now let's jump between the treble side and we're back to the under the neck. Now seems to be. I wonder what you guys like at the moment. I'd be curious to see what you guys are actually interested in. Alright, and we are now going to go to the directly under the bridge pickup. Alright. So that was under the bridge. Now under the bridge, under the neck. Now keep in mind, both pickups are centered right there. Okay? The only difference being that one is directly under the bridge and directly under that smooth piece of timber, but it's sandwiched. It's actually squished in between the neck and it's squished in between the body. Alright, so the way I've got it right now, it's sitting under the neck, you know, right under there. It's super glued directly there. There's nothing else on top of it. I haven't put foam tape on it. I haven't put hot glue on it. You just saw it before. It's completely it's just glued directly to the surface with super glue. That's the only thing that's connecting it to the body. Now this particular one, again, it's under the neck. Now under the bridge. Now this to me, the under the neck one seems to have more resonance. But again, it's completely dependent on what on the listener. We're going to go back to the beginning now. So this is the treble. All right, all I'm doing is strumming it now. Now the bass side. Now we're going to go to the under the neck. I don't know if anyone. I'm trying to apply the same amount of pressure to the strings. That's the one for me. That's the one for me. The one where we've sandwiched it directly underneath the bridge and in between the neck and in between the body. That's the tone that I like. Let's see what handles distortion. All right, so I'm going to turn the tone. The tone was at halfway on the cube. I'm going to turn it down to about a quarter of the way, so it's sitting now at 9 o'clock. I'm going to turn the amplifier now onto Brit Combo. All right, straight away we've got that feedback. I'm very close. You can see, here's the amp. There you go, you can see the amp right there, so I'm sitting right next to it. So I'm going to move it back a little bit. All right, so this is with a bit of distortion on Brit Combo. Distortion sitting halfway. Now this is under the neck. This is the bass side of the body, of the soundboard. Seems to be a little warble on the bass string, so that's interesting. So it may be more vibration through that, and this is the treble side. This could be interesting, however. Alright, now we're just going to mess things up. Alright, let's go for double attack. Alright, so this is Alright, slightly weird idea, slightly crazy idea. I'm going to be back. And we're back. Alright. 4 amps, 1 guitar, cables everywhere, a dog barking, complete mayhem. All right, let's start with the treble pickup all the way. Here we go. Bring the bass in. The bass is tied. Under the neck pickup as well. The Sorrento amplifier. And now finally under the bridge we've got 4 amplifiers going. And I think that was a resounding success. 4 amps, 1 guitar. You can play around with all sorts of weird things with this. Go out and have fun with stuff. Go out and break stuff. Go out and do something like this. You know, this has been awesome. Man, I'm never getting rid of this guitar. If I ever do some live stuff, I'm telling you, if I ever do live stuff, I am going to take this guitar. Don't know if I'll plug into 5 amps, 4 amps, but turn off before the neighbours complain. I suppose that's the end of the test. With all the craziness of that particular test, I suppose the thing to finish off with is that with the placement that I had, I think all four of those sounds were very, very usable. The pickup that was placed on the lid, on the treble side, obviously had a much more treble-y kind of a tone, as with the bass on the lid. That seemed to also have a bassier kind of a tone to it, but there was a certain airiness about it, in my opinion. Probably a little thinner in sound overall. The piezo that was placed underneath the neck was connected to like a fairly solid piece of timber, and the sound, the vibrations had to travel from the string through the bridge, through the timber at the top of the guitar, through the neck, and then to that piezo. And it actually did send a fairly strong signal. There was still, in my opinion, a little bit of an airiness about it again, which I quite liked. I've used that before, but obviously, and I've said it before, my favourite tone is the in my opinion more manageable tone of the piezo being trapped in between the neck and the body of the box, basically, and jammed in underneath that under the bridge and really held in place. Obviously with the super glue, but definitely directly in line of that vibration, that transference of the vibration. So that's the end of the test. Thanks for listening. Really appreciate you listening. Remember, if you do want to become a patron, please you head over to the patron section. If not, that's perfectly cool still. Hope you're enjoying the shows. Tell your friends. Join the group if the Cigar Box Guitar Builder podcast. There is a group of that name. Don't join the page. The page is still up, but I'm not using the page. But But yeah, there's a lot of good conversation going on, a lot of beautiful guitars that have been put onto the group as well. So anyway, that was episode 36, the 4 piezo test. And, thanks for listening. Bye.